Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I'm your host, Don Martino, and today is a special episode where we're going to be talking about Top Gun, the original film from 1986 in preparation for Top Gun Maverick, which we're all going to be going to see next week. I'm very excited to get into all of this here with you today, and let us know what you think of the original Top Gun, directed by Tony Scott. And before we get started, also, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. So, very excited to introduce this first panelist. This is the man who's never seen Top Gun before, and we're going to get his reaction here very soon. But it's Mr. Jose Espinal. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here for this, especially because, as Dom said, I've never seen this movie before. And I'm really excited to give you guys my opinion on this movie, especially in recognition for this movie that we are about to all go watch, which is Top Gun Maverick, because this first movie, I won't give too much away for my reaction, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, we were watching it, and you were like excited, my friend. Like throughout this thing, your reactions were really making me happy.
Losing your shit.
Honestly, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. This movie is one of Tom Cruise's best. I'm gonna just say that right now.
Yeah,
I'll say it for right now. I'll say that for right now. I'll save the rest of my reaction for this video, but I'll say right now this movie was amazing.
Absolutely. And also with us today is Mr. David Trash. David, how's it going?
Very good. Just got done watching Top Gun with these guys. Super excited for Maverick. I suspect I probably, other than maybe Jose, because he's got recency bias, I assume that I probably like Top Gun better than anybody else here. I was the first one to get my Maverick ticket, if that says anything for you guys. So just saying, I let them know. They were kind of select. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, very happy with the rewatch. Loved it just as much as I remember. Very fun movie, and I'm excited to hear Jose's thoughts on it, being that he just watched it for the first time now.
I sensed that about you watching this with you today, that you had such a fondness for this film, and we'll get into kind of all that here in a minute. So for myself, I've been a Top Gun fan since I was young, at least, or at least in the sense that I knew I liked the movie since I'd been young and I'd seen it when I was young. But maybe Dave can attest to this too. Like when I was growing up, everybody knew what Top Gun was. And so now watching it, we're getting Top Gun introduced to a new generation next week. And it reminds me that this new generation really doesn't know what Top Gun is, this first Top Gun. And now it kind of feels like it's something that it's like the secret that I'm let in on when I watch this original movie. And I think it helps me appreciate it a lot more, just knowing that this is something that my generation maybe grew up on a little bit more than this current generation who doesn't know about the original Top Gun as much, and they're about to get introduced to something that's amazing. I would hope. Let's hope that Top Gun Maverick delivers on that level to where it would encourage these young people to go back and watch the original. But yeah, I really loved watching this movie now, today, especially today. And yeah, there's this thing to it where, first of all, everything's better in the 80s. Everything in the 80s is better. There's that going for it. It has a killer ass soundtrack. If I had to get my complaints, I guess, out of the way, which aren't very many. First of all, you could tell that in the cockpit shots that they're not actually flying the planes. Like, There's a guy with the camera going, ooh, like a teeter-totter. It's easy to tell, and there's, a green screen or something behind the planes. So that would be like, it's not necessarily even a complaint, because it actually looks pretty damn good for the 80s. But if there was like one nitpick, I guess, and something that I could see being benefited from the sequel where they're actually going to be flying these planes, it's all going to be practical. That would be one of the things. If I had to say a second thing, it's that that song "Take My Breath Away" gets played way too many times in a short amount of time in the movie. It's not a bad song, and like I said, the soundtrack itself is killer. I love the
And
score,
just
but
Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone has the instrumentals strung throughout it a bit.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I would agree with that.
It's the only
I
song they
love the
honestly
song.
need. I mean, that's I every song that they played that wasn't Danger Zone, I was just like, why?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't need it. We
Well,
have
it
Danger
pumps you
Zone.
up so much, when you hear it. It's
Oh
really
yeah,
good. I mean, Kenny Loggins, man, hero of the '80s with his music between this and Footloose. I mean, really, it's phenomenal
seriously,
what he was able to do, and
gets you pumped,
it
man.
really, really does. It really does. One thing I gotta say about this, I was incredibly impressed for the '80s, especially watching it today. I don't know if that's because I'm listening to it through 7.1 surround sound with the headphones today for the first time, but the sound design was very good in this movie is for the time. The time, I mean, when you hear the planes, I mean, they sound great. They really do.
Yeah,
So the sound design was incredible for the time. Tom Cruise is awesome as Maverick in this movie. He really is. He's so good as Maverick. It's one of his better roles. I won't disagree with that. I'm a little bit more partial to Rain Man in terms of what my favorite movie of his would be, but this he's great as Maverick. It's an iconic character. There's a reason this movie's classic. A lot of it is due to the writing as well. The writing is just very slick, very smooth. It keeps the characters on their feet. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? There's a real good rhythm to the writing and the script and the dialogue and the way exchanges go throughout the film, and it's really amazing to listen to. I also gotta say, Kelly McGillis is good in this movie as somebody remind me of the character name. Maybe not, but she's really good in this movie as
just had a second ago.
love and I know me too. Love interest opposite Tom Cruise. And
Oh
Charlie,
yeah, she was great.
was it
Honestly,
was it Charlie?
Charlie? Maybe it was Charlie.
Was it Charlie? Bro, good question.
Either way, so she's actually really good, and this is it's a really good, especially for the '80s, actually strong female role, if you ask me. There is elements of this movie, like you watch it, and you're like, Charlotte, thank you. There's
AKA Charlie, yeah.
there's an element to this
Yeah.
movie. You're watching it, and I kind of felt this today watching it with you two gentlemen, where it's like, this is a man's movie. It really is. There's an element of
yeah.
it to that, and I get it. But on the same hand, she did play a really good, strong female role for the time period. Meg Ryan's in this movie for a short period of time as Goose's wife. And speaking of Goose, now something I appreciated even more upon watching it today is the fact that Goose being Tom Cruise's best friend and playing opposite, Tom Cruise. When I was growing up and you were watching 80s movies, again, this is something Dave will probably be able to expound upon a little bit too. Attest to, that's a better way to put it. Jose will not be able to.
Hey,
No,
get that guy out of here.
Hey,
No, I'm
hey.
What? Okay.
Look,
Wait a second. Wait a second. One second. Let me finish my point, then I'll go to you. So I was gonna say this. 80s movies, there's always the funny best friend, right? And Goose is that in this movie. But watching it today, I guess I never realized like how important it was to like set him up the way they do, because when what happens eventually happens, it really does, yeah, tear you apart or take your breath away, shall I say? Because it's
one of the things that they did with Goose, and I'm so sorry to interrupt, but before I forget, one of the things that they did with Goose that I caught on this time that I definitely didn't in my past watchings is they almost give him the little brother complex.
Yeah.
And that really makes you feel bad for him because he's constantly in these situations. Again, the little brother complex of like, oh, thanks a lot, man, you fucking asshole. Like, thanks for putting us in this situation.
Right.
And I mean, you could tell the whole movie, especially like right away when he first meets Charlie and he's picking up chicks at the bar and he's always, kind of challenging Maverick. You could tell that he really looks up to him and admires him. And although he holds his own weight, as is real, I mean, he wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for, his big brother, Maverick.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a complex that they build throughout the movie that really gets me. And that's when rewatching it, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That was rough.
And watching Tom Skerritt's really good as the instructor in this movie.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. Every time I see Tom Skerritt, I just think about Ted. When he was like, did you ever go golfing with Tom Skerritt? That's one of my favorites quotes in there. Anyway, Jose, I'm not gonna, make you wait any longer. We all want to hear what you thought of the movie. So upon your first time watching.
Yeah, honestly, obviously it's my first time watching this movie, and I'm not gonna lie, I said this when we were watching this movie. It's one of, if not my favorite Tom Cruise movies of all time. What he did in this movie was incredible, especially, thinking back the time that this movie came out. To see what he did in this movie and to just think about what he's done in Top Gun Maverick is phenomenal, and it just makes me even that more excited for Top Gun Maverick because of what he did in this movie and what I've seen so far. Because I had, like I've said before, when I went to go see Doctor Strange, I had a 5-minute sneak peek of Top Gun Maverick. What he did in those 5 minutes alone makes me that more excited for this movie because of, especially from what I've seen from him doing this movie here. He's amazing, and I just loved what he did in this movie, and I can't wait to see what he does in Top Gun Maverick.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, honestly, watching your reaction throughout the rewatch on this one because, yeah, you were definitely loving it. You could tell, and there's a lot of.
This movie honestly made me appreciate him even more than I already do because of everything that he did in this movie. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This guy hasn't aged a bit. The only thing that has changed from this guy is his voice. That's the only thing that has changed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, he really does give a good performance in this, honestly. Like, it's very good, and you created an iconic character within that performance. Go ahead, David. I wanted to get your thoughts on the rewatch as well. So
yeah, one of the things I will say that I agree with Jose on in that regard is from both just seeing the little bit of the trailer, the whole trailer obviously, but the little bit we could see from the trailer for Maverick and watching him again in Top Gun. Tom Cruise, obviously perfectly, decades later, still translated over the like facial expression,
right,
master class of acting that he does, where in a single glance look or body language move, he could really just like sell a whole scene of what he's thinking. I mean, when he's cocky and he wants to be cocky, you can see it without him saying one word.
Exactly.
He sells it just so good. I don't. Watching that, I almost want to go back and compare other actors to see if anyone else can just master it the way he does. Because that really struck me.
Honestly, I don't think any actor can really compare to the facial expressions.
You guys are flip flopped. Sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead, Jose.
I'm Jose.
I'll fix your shoe. There you go.
He just really, when it comes to facial expressions alone, he really just can't compare to anyone else that we've seen.
Other than Nicolas Cage, yeah.
Besides him, yes. But honestly, like,
that's not a joke. Oh, you guys haven't seen Willy's Wonderland. My apologies. That says it all. Go watch that and you'll see it.
Yeah, no, but honestly, Tom Cruise, he's just a goat in the scene. Like, everything he does and everything he has done is just uncomparable. This guy is just a goat in the scenes, and watching this movie is just a testament to how talented this guy is, and it just shows how much this guy can do that he hasn't already done.
And now this one, they didn't get their own stunts done, but that's why I'm so excited to see how much he dedicates himself to this new film, because the way I see it is with what they've been able to do today in movies overall, from CGI graphics and now the fact that they're actually doing their own stunts. I have a feeling that Tom Cruise just absolutely pushed himself to the limits and kicked ass for this movie. I know that this holds like a very warm spot in his heart out of all of his performances. I mean, this one I know really reaches deep more than, from what I've heard, any other role. I mean, I think the only one he probably holds up there with it is maybe Mission Impossible. And even then he probably has like, the Vin Diesel complex. Well, no, Vin Diesel loves the fact that there's 30 Fast and Furious movies that suck. Tom Cruise is not prideful of that. He's prideful in how much he's been there, but I think Top Gun and the fact that it's such a good movie, he did such a good performance, and the people that he obviously acted with were just, everyone did such a stellar job. And I have a feeling that like it almost gets under his skin that he had to
Right.
wait this long to get his sequel here. So I think he probably dedicated himself. And I'll tell you this, like, you know, I really enjoy the movie. I love the movie. It's great. It's not my top 20 by any regards. I don't think it did anything crazy for movies necessarily, other than, you know, the one thing I'll give it is like, you know, the action scenes, not the craziest, but the best that they could do definitely for the flying at the time.
Yeah.
And the music again is really good to go with it. It definitely builds a lot of like suspense and gives you some chills at times. But I have a feeling that this one is gonna break some barriers with the action and the drama. It'll bring drama in a good way, you know, not Jersey Shore drama, but obviously we got Miles Teller, who we saw as a child in this movie, and who we're going to see as an adult in the new one. And there's going to be a lot of pent up stress in that situation with him playing the son of Goose here. And I'm just so excited to see how that plays out, and how this, I think the action sequences will be the very best we've ever seen.
Yeah, well, to go off your point about Tom Cruise having to wait for the movie, you know, the story goes, and I don't know like a lot of behind the scene details on Top Gun. I'll tell you right now, it's not like I know about Star Wars, but what I can say, one thing I do definitely know is that they've tried to get Tom Cruise to do Top Gun 2 for a long time. It's not really, this just goes to how passionate he has been about this role. He read multiple scripts, multiple pitches, multiple ideas, and it wasn't until now that one came about that he was okay with.
It was worth pursuing, yeah.
And working with the director that he's worked with before in Oblivion, so it makes sense that it would be somebody he's already got a good relationship with to do it with. And say for Miles Teller worked with Joseph Kosinski in Only the Brave, so great working relationship with him as well. So for me, I think that really just goes to show how much passion he has. It took 36 years for a Top Gun 2 to come out, only because Tom Cruise just couldn't find a story or a pitch that he loved for it. And finally, here we are. And I like that. And that actually gives me all the more confidence in the film, because I don't think he would have done it if it didn't feel right, you know?
Exactly. That just shows also not only the star power that he has, but just the passion that he has for this Top Gun movie. Is like, if he doesn't think that it's right, then it's not gonna pass. He needs to see it and be like, all right, yeah, this is what I want to do, and this is what we're gonna do. Like, it's because of him that these movies get the sequels or prequels or whatever that it needs to get, because he's the one that's like, all right, cool, yeah, this is what I like, and this is what I want to do. You know?
Absolutely.
He saw this Top Gun Maverick script that we're gonna get now, and he was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I think will be the best for this sequel. He's like, yeah, this is what I want to do. You know?
Yeah, I mean, for you, Jose, I wanted to know, like, what are specific areas of the movie and moments that really just like stood out to you the most, or is there just like an element about it that makes you really like it now having seen it? I mean, what
relations?
What is this specifically that you really enjoy?
I mean, the romance between Tom Cruise Maverick's character and the teacher, that I really did like too. And Maverick's relation with Goose was also a very nice aspect. Yes, he did, you know, we did see his death, which also did add to the movie, obviously. But his relation with, it was like a brother relationship with Goose, which I really did, and he held that relationship with him so closely that it was like a brother relationship, you know. He just loved him so much.
Yeah,
he just didn't want to fly with anyone else if it wasn't Goose, and I loved that too. And then his relation with the teacher, their romance relationship was also very close. That I loved seeing that too, and those were the two aspects of this movie that I really just enjoyed seeing the most in this movie, you know?
Yeah, right from the very beginning too, they really do a good job at setting up that relationship. It's all and dialogue, you know?
Yeah, and the chemistry between Tom Cruise and, I don't know who played Goose, but that him and Tom Cruise, they just had such a great chemistry together that they were able to play those two characters together just so smoothly that it just worked so well in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I know that like we've been kind of I'm gonna get one more little complaint out of the way because I know that we've been as audience members very spoiled to Marvel movies where they really set up, you know, what's going on with the villains, or in Star Wars and things like that. And now that this movie has like clear-cut villains, I get that. But I do think that one of the things that they could have done better here is adding a little bit more stake to the missions, like higher stakes to the missions, because you get very brief explanations about what's actually going to happen in the missions, and then it just like goes into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And most of what makes the missions work is kind of character development and dialogue anyway. But I would have liked, and this is something I hope to see in the second one, if I may, is a little bit more development into the missions themselves. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if you guys had that complaint. Yeah.
No, I feel like, especially because of what this movie has already been praised about, I feel like they did that, and I feel like Tom Cruise looked back at his first movie and was like, okay, we need to improve this for the second movie, and I feel like he saw that and did this for this movie. I feel like that's why it's praised so much now.
Yeah,
because he improved on that for this movie.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, I think actually one of the strengths of it, as a matter of fact, is all the technical lingo that they use. I think it's actually one of the strengths of it. It actually does remind me of Star Wars a lot when they're using all the technical lingo and stuff, and like stuff we wouldn't understand. I like it. I think it really works in this movie, the way that
I love
it's
that
written.
you use that comparison.
Sorry, but it did. That was just the thing I thought.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Well,
no,
I only say I love that for the fact of Harrison Ford's interview, or Oscar Isaac's interview, where he's asking Han Solo for help and teaching him how to fly.
Right.
And Han Solo goes, well, you're flying a spaceship and it's not real, so just do things. And no one will know that it's wrong because it's not real.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
obviously, I think Tom Cruise for this movie did give himself, in the original, and I know for this one especially, he has studied in deep, spent a lot of time around, pilots themselves, and really got the lingo down. He dedicated himself to that, I know. But yeah, that definitely does help push the pace of the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really helps the action sequences when it's not just simply, them sitting there shooting at each other, and you actually hear them, catching the lock on, moving in, clear shot, go. And it's you hear the lingo, and they use the same words every time, which isn't lazy. It's because when you're in that high intensity situation, that's what you use. If you start using different terms to rattle off, it's going to confuse the other people around you. And as you can see from the movie, which I'm sure we're going to get a whole lot more of, they're working in duos. So the last thing you want to do in communications in a high tension, seconds mean lives situation is start mixing up vocabulary. So
exactly.
Yeah, I thought that really pushed the pace, and the action sequences helped it out a lot. And just going to the things that I liked and things that I know that Jose liked but didn't necessarily include, this movie's funny as hell, man. This movie's funny.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Well, the humor, and more importantly, just the banter, especially between Maverick and Goose and Iceman.
Yeah,
it's funny as hell.
It's got a very funny. The camaraderie adds this level of humor. It actually does belong in a marathon with movies like The Breakfast Club, actually, or 16 Candles, because it does still have that 80s camaraderie of friends, and like it adds that humor. But what I loved about it is none of it was. You get this so much today. Like none of the humor felt like unintelligible. It was very intelligent the way it was. They went about it all. And that's one of the things.
Everything is quick whips. Everything that they're saying reminded me of me trying to play the chess match of going after my brothers and us just constantly throwing whips at each other. Like each and every piece of banter that they're dropping, the back and forths, is a well thought out chess move to beat the last thing that they just said, which I love. Because a lot of you got a bunch of horse shit like The Last Jedi dropping yo mama jokes and shit like that. On a technicality, you say it's not a yo mama joke, but it's just forced horse shit compared to the beautiful banter of Top Gun.
No, I love the banter here, and it actually really, really plays, and it
speaks to Val Kilmer not being the bad guy in the end too, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's banter.
Yeah.
And obviously Iceman didn't want Goose to die, and he feels awful for that. And it kind of, as Jose was saying, obviously the live reaction, with Iceman, you think he's an asshole, and then you realize he was kind of right, and the way he did it maybe wasn't the best way, but he was correct that Maverick is dangerous, but that also wasn't his fault. And you see Val Kilmer man up and talk to him and just let him know he's sorry about Goose. And
yeah,
that's a really great thing, because it kind of, as tense as the banter was and the back and forths and trying to see the chess move of who won each argument and back and forth in the locker room, at the end of the day they're all on the same team here.
I was gonna say too, it's like Iceman sees Maverick as a challenge. Everyone wants to see each other as a challenge. And Iceman saw Maverick as a challenge. He's like, all right, this dude is doing this, and it's not to protocol, but it's working in a way, and he's jealous of that in a way too, because he's like, all right, he's doing this differently, but it's working. So he sees him as a challenge, and in the end, he sees what he does and he appreciates it because he's coming with a different vision than Iceman's, regularly doing, and he sees him as a friend now, especially because of what he's doing, and it works. And he's like, all right, cool. You and I can be like the best duo, even though you and Goose did work perfectly together, you and I can do even, maybe if not better, the same as you and Goose,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was just going to say, I think part of the reason this movie really works, I think the cool factor is we're following this rogue pilot who plays by his own rules. And I think that's Maverick through and through. And you're right, it does just lead into this very triumphant ending with him and Iceman, because
I honestly, I thought, I didn't like Iceman throughout this movie, but then at the end there, where he was like, all right, you can be my wingman, and then Maverick was like, no, you could be mine. I really did like that part there, and I really did appreciate Iceman in the end there for that part too. So he recognized that Maverick is really, in a way, smarter than everyone else who's there. He's like, he's the best. He's the best Navy pilot there is. Exactly.
Well,
which Charlotte saw in him as well. Right? Like Charlotte saw that too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she saw that from the day that she said that, I'm in love with you. She saw that from the very beginning, that as soon as he questioned her, she saw that he has a different vision, and that, he's really just smarter than everyone else in the whole gang, and that his vision is really just the best because he's smarter than everyone else, and his vision is just different.
Well, that's why I appreciate the appreciation from Viper in the whole movie to Maverick, because obviously it's funny because they all act like they know everything. Viper's really the only one there that's seen any action going into this. So I mean, even Charlie has doubts about Maverick. Charlie is awed by Maverick and sees that what he's doing is stupid and wants an explanation as to why it's not stupid, because she's a lot more analytical than anyone else there. Iceman thinks that what he's doing is dangerous and stupid and that there's no excuse for it. But in the end, they all realize what Viper and Maverick, well, even Maverick had to find it out, but what Viper already knew because he had seen action, and that was that in order to win certain situations, you have to take risks. And if you try to play it clean like Iceman, you're going to get your engine shot out, and you're going to have to take risks to get out of those situations when you're outnumbered by MGs.
You get the feeling, though, that like Charlie's probably dealt with this type of rogue pilot before, but she's never dealt with a rogue pilot where he's breaking the rules, but it actually works.
Just working. It actually works.
Yeah.
Pulling it off.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just like that dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. And with Charlie and Ice, they've seen probably people like him before, just not to the sense where he's done what these other people have done before. Just
they're not used to it, right?
And seeing someone who has succeeded in a sense to where what he does is dangerous and different, but it actually has succeeded before, which is where he comes in and just changes their perspective like completely, where they're both just on board with what he does, because it's different, but it works at the same time. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I one of the other things I really like about the character of Maverick is he not, I feel like he takes an unconventional approach to everything in life, and we see that like toward the beginning when he's trying to get her in the bar, right? She says, I've never
Right.
seen that move before. That's like Maverick's whole character is he takes an unconventional approach to everything. It's not just, you know, flying.
Not just pilot, yeah, exactly. Not just when
Yeah.
it comes to the military, but just in life in general.
Exactly.
Like he does everything differently in life in general.
Yeah.
And it's a surprise to people whether he's dating or it's for his job, you know?
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things too that I appreciated about his character is that he's a character that just takes risks in every aspect.
Loves to
whether
live
it's
on
for-
the edge, which is probably why Tom Cruise really relates to this role so much, and it means
exactly
so much
because
to him.
you,
Yeah.
you look at all the other roles that he's been in
R.I.P.
Mission
Paul
Impossible.
Walker.
Oh fuck! You look at all the other characters that he's played before. I mean, there's Jack Reacher, Mission Impossible, like all those other roles. He's that kind of character that takes risks, and people don't appreciate it or understand it
Mhm.
until the end, where they realize, yeah, what he does is different. No one's done it before, but it actually works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this
And
is really
and-
his first outing, I think, in this type of character where he really
And that's-
does like
and
to live
that's-
on the edge.
and that's I think this movie right here is the first movie that made that kind of character popular in the first place. Like he made that kind of character popular in this movie.
Oh,
and
right,
he was
yeah, for
a-
himself,
he was able to do that character again in other kind of movies, you know.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
yeah, it's like
and
he's,
that's what I appreciate a lot about Tom Cruise is that he can play any kind of character and he just knows how to do it.
yeah. He'll never forget his roots. I just get that feeling, which is why I think
Exactly.
this Top Gun Maverick is just so exciting. And I really
Exactly.
am just so interested to see a new generation really get this Top Gun, you know, and
Yeah, because I
if
was
it
gonna say 'cause
delivers, hopefully it's good, you know.
the generation that haven't seen the first Top Gun, watching this first one or the second one, I feel like they'll appreciate it so much that they'll want to go and watch the first one, the original. You
Yeah.
know, and they'll appreciate it that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so let's talk about, I mean, Goose's death. That scene is actually very
Oh,
heartbreaking.
bro.
It's very
Dude.
well executed, though. I mean, you from the score
I don't like the
to
way that Dom wasn't almost crying like me and Jose. I think Dom might be a serial killer. He showed no.
I was about to say,
emotion.
like Dave and I were just
Me and Jose
Oh,
were in our hands, man.
Dude.
I've seen this movie before. It's
Dude.
not an excuse, Dom. You didn't love Goose, you piece of
Look,
shit.
I fucking dude, I honestly teared up when I saw that scene with when Goose died, dude, bro. Honestly, I went to tears because that's
I
fucking
knew it was
emotional.
coming. I instantly started face palming. I was like, oh no, I don't want
Dude,
to.
dude,
I
it's
don't want to
emotional.
cry in front of Dom and Jose. Then I saw Jose crying. I was like, wait, why isn't Tom
Yeah.
crying? Then?
No, it
Dude, it's
hit me
emotion-
this
it's
time
The
emotional.
around.
boys cry. You cried, Dom.
Dude, it's emotional. Look, I'll say it now. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm an emotional as fuck person, and that scene was hella emotional, man. That was very nicely executed. I really enjoyed how they. Well, I'm not gonna say enjoyed, but I like how they executed that scene
Yeah.
specifically with Goose's death because that was a sad scene, man.
No,
And-
it
and-
definitely still hits. It's just, I think for me, like when I'm watching it, if I had a separate reaction, it's honestly because I was in awe of the execution of it. I'd actually forgotten how great this movie executed that death and how sad and hard hitting it actually was.
especially with Maverick's reaction to the whole death scene, you know, with Goose dying, and in that scene particularly when Maverick was holding Goose there, you know, and the whole scene there specifically was just
Yeah, you got to let go of
you
them.
could-
Those lines.
you can feel Maverick's feelings in that situation with Goose dying. You can like feel what he was feeling in that instance, and it was just hella emotional, man. I'll never like it's a scene and situation that will stay in my head for the rest of my life. Honestly,
and listening to just watching him getting carried up on the helicopter
Oh,
and the
dude, honestly,
His lifeless body just being lit.
Oh
especially
yeah, that was actually pretty raw.
That
Yeah.
scene especially was the one that made me cry even more than any the whole scene with Maverick or with Goose dying. Like that scene of him being pulled up was the one that made me cry probably the most.
Yeah.
because that was hella emotional.
And then it
man.
was, seeing actually, this is one of her earlier roles, but Meg Ryan, her reaction to it and her talking to Maverick about how he would have flown anyway, but you just made that so much better for him. You
Honestly,
made that
yeah,
experience so good.
yeah, because in his head it's like, no, I'm not gonna fly ever unless it's with Goose, because Goose is like, their relationship is just that close that
Yeah.
he saw him as a brother. He's like, no, I'm not gonna fly unless it's with Goose. And
Right.
it's like, you can tell from that scene alone that like the relationship that him
And
and
at the
Goose
very
had.
end, he was fine with
He
Goose.
was, yeah, that's true, Dave. That's true. Because
That's where he gets
oh
it
my
back
God.
together, because he was disengaging. I mean,
yeah,
that's
he was getting ready
he
to
asked
walk
Goose
away.
for help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's very true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, even in the heat of the moment fight, it was actually what I was referring to. I'm glad you reminded me of he ends up showing to the graduation, but I was actually referring to in the heat of the moment when he's holding his dog
With the
tags
dog tags, exactly.
in the fight. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
I'd
that
consider all
that's
time.
that yeah, that scene, him holding Goose's dog tags, that scene alone made me hella emotional too.
Yeah.
Because thinking back to the relationship that Maverick and Goose had, just, oh dude, honestly, like, eh, I can relate too, because I have friends like that are just that close to me, that they're like brothers to me, and I could exactly
We even look alike.
exactly. No, but for real though, I can relate too, because I've been in that situation before, and I can just honestly relate very much to Maverick's character and what he's been through. I can relate, and it's just it's emotional, man, and it's hard. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah. You did hit a good point earlier, Jose, about the relationship between him and Kelly McGillis. So one of the things that I started thinking of, I was like, oh shit, was in Captain America: The First Avenger, the Peggy Steve relationship. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit,
dude.
just the dynamic
Yeah.
that was at play there, which I really enjoyed. Obviously, Steve Rogers doesn't have the cockiness of Maverick, but like,
Right, of course.
but
Steve's
just
a bitch ass.
just his girl, his love interest in general, having
Steve
this
can't
sort
close.
of like no, the love interest in general, just having this, sort of higher duty in the operation
exactly.
that he's within, is what it reminded. Yeah.
It's two
Oh,
different it's two different kinds of love interests, but at the same time it's like the same kind of love interest. Like,
Yeah.
with Steve Rogers and Peggy, it's a romantic love, but with Maverick and Goose, it's a brother relationship. But you can feel the same way about both of the relationships. Like, he saw him as a brother, as like very close, and when Goose died, I mean, man, you can really feel for Maverick in
Yeah.
that situation.
Which also kind of reminded me of the First Avenger too, where like Bucky dies. It's like I just almost wonder if like Joe Johnston looked at Top Gun and took some inspiration, like in terms of how he approached doing Captain America: The First Avenger to some degree.
Oh yeah.
It just,
oh yeah.
in terms of like the feelings that, it kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the feelings that's
Built.
I don't know.
Intimacy. I don't know.
Whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of what I was looking at. It's
Character chemistry.
Yeah, character chemistry, sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, actually, yes, that's actually true. The character chemistry is kind of similar in that sense when I think about Captain America: The First Avenger. Sorry, folks, I'm on a Marvel bench. But that's really where my head went. And I actually think, I don't know if you guys would agree with this. I'm not saying any of them, it doesn't make the movie bad. I actually personally like the first half of this movie more than I like the second half. And it's not that I think the second half of the movie is weak. I just think the first half of this movie is, to me, like, just, it's the pacing, the entertainment of it is, to me, a little bit stronger than the second half. But that's not to say that the second half is bad,
Yeah.
I would agree with you too. Like, the first half of this movie definitely was
Perfect.
more
Pace.
it was better. Yeah, it was better paced than the second half.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. It's not that I didn't like the second half of this movie, I just enjoyed the first half more than the second half.
Well, I
just think it was better paced.
I think for myself, it goes back into the thing of the missions. We don't have like a lot of high stakes in terms of the missions themselves. Like, we don't really know.
Exactly. Yeah.
We get very brief descriptions of what they're actually going up against, and
Exactly.
so
Yeah,
it's not, we don't feel like we have as much stake in the game, when it comes to the missions.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think this movie, unfortunately, somewhat falls apart for me. But again, I think these are all things that Top Gun Maverick
It's
can pick
gonna.
up and carry over and benefit,
Yeah,
improve
exactly.
upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna
exactly.
do way better than just improve upon, man. I mean, this is for me. Like I told you, Don. There's certain movies that I could just see the trailer and just know it's a foolproof movie. And I'm
Yeah.
wrong at times. Like I don't know about Dominion. I think it's pretty darn set off the trailer that it'll look pretty damn good. I don't know how they could screw it up, but like one for sure that I could compare Maverick to, not quite to the same level, but the Black Phone is kind of like how I feel about Maverick here. I just given what they got to go off of, the fact that Tom Cruise has pushed back this project for so long, and then all the behind the scenes, the trailer, everything that we have right now just points to such a damn good movie. And especially the
I
fact that
agree.
it looks like in this one, they're just really pushing not just the action, but I think the plot here. I
Yeah.
think this one's going to have some real battle. I don't think the whole thing is just going to be like this one. The Top Gun program took up a lot of the screen time, I think, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think this one is going to push the pace a lot, kind of get through the Top Gun program if that's what we're going towards, and get into real action.
Yeah, I think not Krasinski. I'm sorry, Joseph Kosinski as a director.
Okay, let's put Krasinski in there.
I think Joseph Kosinski is going to leave this in better condition than when he picked up the property. You know what I mean? Like than what it was when he picked up the property. It just seems like there's a lot of care that's going into this one. I'm with you. This is a trailer that to me, every time I see it, it does leave me with this very big confidence that it's going to be fantastic. Now, I want to keep my expectations at a minimum just in case I end up being in the minority on it and and I'm disappointed for whatever reason. But I do think that they have a real shot at making something incredibly special with the second movie. One of the things I picked up on is this movie begs for a sequel by the end of it. It almost sets it up like right there at the end. That's one thing I picked up on this time around. It's like, man, it's just set up Maverick right there where he was talking about going to be an instructor.
And at the same time, what's funny is it's almost like it doesn't beg for a sequel, just knowing 80s movies.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of 80s movies back in the day, Dom, where it was almost like, oh, this has to have a sequel. And then they were just like, no, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's the final product. That's it.
Yeah, no, you're
there's
entirely
a lot of
right
80s
about
movies
that.
that do that. I mean, Red Dawn is kind of like one where, I've been comparing it to it lately. And even Red Dawn is one where like everyone's like, oh shit, we have to know what happens next. And they were like, fuck you mean? That's it.
Yeah.
You're done with that. You don't know what happens next. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Movie over, time over. Obviously, sequels were a lot harder to come by back in the 80s as well.
I guess what I'm getting at is like I get what you're saying too, because you're right in the terms of the industry, they weren't necessarily shooting for the sequel, you know what I mean, like they are now.
Oh yeah.
But on the other hand of that, getting a sequel because of where we're left at the end of this, it's gonna feel so much more organic because
satisfying and organic. Yeah, I mean it was made to have a sequel, even if they didn't actually mean that in their intentions. I mean, if you were to just pick up a movie and be like, yeah, fuck it, let's just give one a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, Top Gun would be the pick, I think.
It's a good candidate for that. You're right. I think that it'll definitely play really organically, very naturally. Yeah, there's really like a lot of elements that make this movie work. It's shot very well for the 80s, honestly. Like it really is. Like when
I'll say that I think they kept up the casting too. I mean, the casting is great in the first one. I think Maverick has a pretty damn good looking cast.
That's true. That's true because you're looking at Miles Teller. A lot of people are saying Glenn Powell's very good in this movie, and obviously Tom Cruise is back. I think Meg Ryan's back in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I would imagine she would be to play Goose's son's mother, whatever his name's going to be. So, yeah, which I actually heard Miles Teller got to handpick his call sign in this, so that's going to be really cool to hear whatever it is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm sure I could know by watching the trailer, but I don't, so I'm not going to want to learn that. That's
right.
So I want to see what it's in.
I never heard it in the trailer once. I think they're leaving that like a secret, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that, but I think that they might be leaving that as kind of like a surprise, whatever it is, something to I would imagine whatever his call sign's going to be it's going to be something that like relates to Goose, you know, in some kind of way. Like we're going to hear it and it's going to be like, oh, that makes so much sense. I have that feeling about
Gander,
this.
motherfucker.
Yeah. My biggest fear, I think, about this Top Gun Maverick movie is going to definitely be too much nostalgia play. I think that, you know, playing into the member berries too much would be, I think, where it could fail if it leans into the nostalgia too heavily. But I'm hoping that they just give us something fresh. I think that they could. I think
Yeah,
that
I don't think they'll lean into it too much just from just from seeing who's being recast. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think they'll lean into it too much. Just given the fact that there's so much new cast, I don't think they can. Like unless they're just gonna push all these great actors to the side here, I think they're gonna focus on a pretty damn good new story here.
I hope so.
Now, is Val Kilmer cast in this?
Yes,
I know
Val Kilmer is in the movie. That is confirmed.
There's a picture of him, but he's okay.
He makes some type of appearance in this movie, so we'll see. Very limited, obviously, due to circumstances beyond his control, but he is definitely making an appearance as Iceman. So that's all I really know. I don't. I am trying to go into this blind. I watched the teaser trailer, and that's really about it. So I haven't watched.
Pretty much where I'm at.
I actually really haven't checked out the full trailer yet. I'll be very honest with you. I don't really care to see it.
I get it during ads, so I can't fucking avoid it. Because once I start watching it and it's an ad, like I'm gonna keep watching. I'm not gonna turn it off.
The teaser I've seen a billion times. It's in the movie theater every time I go, but. And I love the teaser so much that I just don't need the final trailer or whatever, but I'm confident. Jose, how are you feeling about Maverick? Are you confident it's going to be good, or where are you at with it?
I mean, yeah, like I've said before, I'll say it again. I got a 5-minute sneak peek of Top Gun Maverick, and from what I've seen from that, I'm very confident about this movie, and I do feel like just from that sneak peek that it's going to be something different from this first one.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm very confident about this movie, because it seems like they're going to go for something completely different from this first movie, you know.
Yeah, I know some people might be like, one of the concerns could be, and we kind of talked about this with Doctor Strange a little bit, with the director change, like changing it from Tony Scott to Joseph Kosinski. But I will tell you right now, when it comes to Tom Cruise and handpicking his directors, that's not going to be the issue if there is one, because he's done this before with directors.
He knows what director to pick.
That will not be the issue.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's not the issue at all.
Yeah, because I mean, he did that with the Mission Impossibles. When Christopher McQuarrie did Mission Impossible 5 or Rogue Nation, he worked with them on the next. He did 6, and he's going to do 7 and 8 with McQuarrie. So it's turned out to be very successful. So he's been very good about hand selecting who he works with. That won't be the issue.
He knows what director to pick for what movie. That's one thing that Tom Cruise is good at. Picking which director to make what movie he wants to do. You know.
Yeah. If he trusts them.
Exactly, and he trusts. You know, the person that made this Top Gun Maverick movie, he trusts him, and that's where it's definitely not the director. I mean,
it won't be if there's an issue. Yeah, no,
exactly. If there is an issue, which I don't think with this movie, I don't think there is an issue. That's for me personally. Yeah, we'll see. But personally, me, I don't think there is an issue with this movie.
Yeah.
By the way,
we'll see.
I don't know if this is the teaser or trailer, but one thing that I know that we all probably are gonna love in this movie is from the trailer. I can't wait to see Tom Cruise's depiction as Maverick as an instructor, because that was like one of my favorite parts of the trailers, where he flies through the two. He flies right through the two jets. Is like, "Good morning, aviators," and it's like, you know, in this movie, obviously the action in the jets is pretty limited, given the fact that they're not actually, you know, flying the jets. But I have a feeling in this one, those scenes are going to be insane. And that, you know, as garish as Viper may be in actual action, as an instructor, he didn't push the limits a lot. Like I have a feeling
Right.
we're gonna get great sequences where Tom Cruise
I
is
agree.
absolutely gonna try to outclass the shit out of
Yeah.
these aviators.
So you don't
and
think-
pull some really risky shit?
So you don't think Maverick's gained any sort of restraint in terms of his way of being, in terms of piloting? You think he's definitely going to just
Obviously,
still be Maverick?
this skips ahead a decent bit, but what I would imagine is, and I'm trying to think of some sort of analogy here, but just given the time that's passed, who he is, and the fact that his strategy worked in the end of the original Top Gun movie here, and being daring and taking risks, I have a feeling that he's going to realize, everyone knows that in real combat, that's what's going to win and sell. And he's not just trying to prepare these aviators to lose. So I think, yes, he's going to be, I'm sure at times he'll have restraint and play it smart, but I think overall he's going to be very daring. He's going to really push to the limits here, and he's going to keep doing risky shit to let them know how it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even Viper talked about it in this movie a little bit, where it's like, obviously because of his Rio, Iron something his name was. Damn it, I missed
Michael
that.
Ironside.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously he was just toning it back for that, and the sake that he doesn't need to push himself too much. But I mean, just from what we've seen from the trailer, knowing that everything worked out for Maverick at the end of Top Gun, I think he's going to be doing some daring shit and fucking with these aviators.
Yeah, it's a really good foundation that's built now for this new movie, because it's the classic trope in a way of the learner becomes the master in a way. So
Yeah,
I think that's going to be
the way I see it, in
a lot
those
of
years,
fun.
he's only gotten better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like he had
Exactly.
confidence before trying things he's never tried. I mean, now he's just had like another 30 years to just keep practicing insane shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's one of the interesting things is like Tom Cruise is going to be actually flying these planes, and he doesn't just have to actually fly these planes, but he has to actually fly these planes the way Maverick would. And that's what's going to be really crazy to watch on screen. I think that's where this movie's actually going to really deliver, is seeing those crazy ass stunts that he's doing. And
Yeah, I hate like having seen the sneak peek that I saw, not being able to talk about it in this video. Honestly, I hate it so much, especially now after seeing this first movie. I hate not being able to talk about the sneak peek because obviously not many people saw it.
Yeah.
And having seen it.
Yeah, we don't want to know anything yet. So
that's what I mean. Like, it's not my fault the fact that I saw this sneak
absolutely
peek.
not. No.
Obviously,
it's your fault.
And fuck you.
No, I'm just kidding.
Having seen the sneak peek, I understand obviously a little more than you guys.
You rock stars will do that.
Shut up. I actually saw a sneak peek. I'm not kidding.
Oh shit.
No, I actually did. Like when I went to go see Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I saw like around 5-minute sneak peek of Top Gun Maverick. And seeing that, I just hate that I can't talk about it because obviously it spoils too much.
Yeah.
But seeing that sneak peek, I understand a little more about this movie than other people, and I just hate being able to have seen that and not being able to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll be able to talk about it here very, very soon. We're all going to go see it a little bit early next week, so that's very exciting. So you guys stay tuned into that. And before we go, boys, I wanted to do something here to get us all pumped up for this next movie. Let's go ahead and check out that teaser trailer again. Why don't we?
30+ years of service. Combat medals, citations. Only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years. Yet you can't get a promotion, you won't retire. Despite your best efforts, you refuse to die. You should be at least a 2-star admiral by now. Yet here you are. Captain. Why is that?
It's one of life's mysteries, sir.
end is inevitable, Maverick. Your kind is headed for extinction.
Maybe so, sir. But not today.
God, the anticipation's killing me.
Fuck, man.
Anticipation is killing me. Man, well, there you have it, folks. That's Top
Who's
Gun
that?
Maverick. Oh, man.
Fuck.
Yeah, it looks so good. Looks so good. I can't wait.
I'm gonna watch it right now.
I know, me too. Yeah.
Same.
I'm just gonna go sit in the theater. I'm just gonna be like, go ahead and play whatever you want in the meantime. I'm just waiting for Tuesday. Wake
Just-
me up when Top Gun goes on, please.
Just sit there in the IMAX and having a time to just maybe what the fuck is this guy doing? No, that'd be amazing.
Sir, someone else bought this seat. Get the fuck away from me. I'm waiting for Top Gun.
Well, they can have it when Top Gun's over.
Yeah.
We're about to see. All right, guys. Look, I had so much fun with you fellas watching this today, being able to talk
Yes,
about it. It's
sir.
been a hell of a good time, but we are going to get going now. We've been going for about an hour here, so before we take off,
Chicken nugget.
what was that?
I didn't say anything. That was Jose.
What'd you say?
No, what? No,
Oh.
I didn't say anything.
I need
That was
chicken
Dave.
nugget.
Oh, chicken nugget. You need to get some chicken nuggets. Oh, no. Okay.
Chicken nugget. Turkey
McDonald's.
milk.
Okay.
I'm gonna make my own, you peasant. I'm just kidding.
Shit.
All right, let's get out of here, folks. On that note, chicken
Jose's
nugget.
drunk.
All right. Yes, he is. All right, let's get out of here. This has been a really fun episode, honestly. I had a great time talking about the
Okay,
movie,
guys.
rewatching the movie. And Dave, before we go, where can people find you? And if you want to give a closing statement on Top Gun, go ahead.
You can find me eating chicken nugget in the kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me on my social medias at BKingDavid. That's BKING David, all one word, all lowercase. You can catch me and Jose on stereo sometime here soon. We got to talk about the rest of Game of Thrones. Last thoughts here. Absolutely loved rewatching Top Gun. Such a fun movie, very funny, great action. And I expect more of the same with Maverick here to the craziest extent yet.
All right. And Jose, where can people find you? And closing statement on Top Gun, if you want.
You guys can find me at Type 1 Latino, all lowercase, all together, and on stereo. Like Dave said, him and I will probably be doing a stereo sometime soon. Just catch us on there. And my final words on Top Gun, it was incredible. I loved it. Tom Cruise, again, just killed it. And it just honestly made me more excited for this Top Gun Maverick movie. I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find me on Twitter at Dom_Martino_, on Instagram, Dom_Martino_ official. My final thoughts on Top Gun are this, guys. It's an absolute classic for a very good reason. A lot of people really
For
hold
sure.
this near and dear to their hearts. A lot of fathers hold this near and dear to their hearts. And I hope that you guys do go see Top Gun Maverick. And if you do and haven't seen the first one, watch this first movie before you go. I'm telling you, everything that we said here, all the hype that we've delivered, it's really that good. And this first movie really is that classic and that good. So make sure you check it out. Or even if you want to wait till after you see Maverick and want to just dip your toe in the water first, that's fine. I'm sure it'll be okay. But look, guys, it's an awesome movie. It was an awesome time talking about this movie. Please go follow the Twitter and Instagram pages for Anorex at Anorex Official across both platforms. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. On that note, we are going to get out of here. So thank you guys for joining, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Later.